We got one more once we get on with this.
Yeah, good.
Too soft of a surface. It's like me, you stick that pin in, it disappeared back here.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk will call the roll.
Managers Miller,
Present.
Davis.
Present.
Glenn.
Here.
Cosentopoulos.
Present.
Lasley.
Here.
And Craycraft.
Present.
And I'd like to welcome Minister Larry Braswell. He will lead us in the invocation. And will you please remain standing for the pledge?
Would you pray with me? Father, we come before you this evening, first of all, acknowledging you as God, the creator and sustainer of all that is. And we thank you that you have given us access to your throne room through the shed blood of Jesus Christ. God, I thank you for Judge Yates, for all the leadership in Clark County. I thank you for each one that's come out tonight for this meeting. I pray that all of the reports that are given, the presentations that are made, the decisions that are made, will first of all be honoring to you, and secondly, will be for the betterment of all of us who live and work in Clark County. God, thank you for each person present tonight. We ask your guidance in this meeting. I pray all these things in the holy and precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item will be item number 5, approval of the minutes for February the 14th, 2024.
Motion approved.
A motion by Magistrate Bland. Is there a
Second.
Second, Magistrate Davis. Any discussion?
Magistrate Miller
I'm
was the
sorry.
second.
I'm sorry, Magistrate Miller. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item will be approval of the budget transfers.
Which ones are they?
That'll be the,
And extra repairs.
they should be in order in the package.
This is annex repairs.
Yeah. Trying to see if they're in order.
I'll make a motion to approve, and I'll explain, and I appreciate the changing of the, that transfers regarding EMS, now taking it from the budget. But I found out some information, or heard some information, last week that when I saw this, I want to inform the court before we do it. So I'd like to make a motion to approve, but removing that transfer. And I'll explain in discussion.
Which one are you removing?
Just the top one, annex repairs,
Okay.
EMS services.
Okay.
Any,
Nobody seconded it.
I'll second it.
it was second, Magistrate Davis.
Judge, before we pay that bill and make this transfer, the only thing that I think we need to do is review our contract, because I was in a meeting last week or the week before last, can't remember the dates, they're all mixed up anymore. But I think in our contract that we have a $400,000 cap on
I think that's right.
the expenditures
I think that's right.
for the fiscal court. And this would put us well over that cap. If that cap is in place, I just.
Yeah, I know we approved it, but I don't know that.
It was approved by both bodies. That was
Yeah,
what
that's
the
right.
Magistrate Davis and Magistrate Elkins and Judge Pace at the time, they had negotiated out with Mayor.
I'm not sure we had a
Mayor
time
Berger
cap on it either.
I'm not sure, but before we do that, I would like to make sure that we have it, if there is a cap in place, that it is in effect before we.
And what's the cap for?
Maximum expenditure.
Maximum expenditure. I believe the breakdown was, what was the breakdown? We were at 39% and,
We took it from 45% to 39% of any deficits. I don't remember as far as a cap, and I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have a copy of that agreement with me. But that's been going on 3 years ago,
At least.
so.
Okay.
but other than that, thank you for fixing that to the, out of the general fund.
Any further discussion? Those in favor, say aye as amended.
Aye.
Any opposed? That one carries. So the next one will be the cash transfers.
Motion to approve.
Have a
And this
motion.
is the one with the
Uh,
Community Trust Bank?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Community
Yeah.
Trust Bank.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? This one starts out with Community Trust.
Was it stapled to the first one?
It was stapled in the first one there.
Oh, okay, so that one's number two, so okay, so there's three. All right, sorry about that.
Okay. We need a motion?
Everybody got it?
Uh,
already seconded it.
The second one.
Okay. Any
I
dis-
was second.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be approval of the bills list.
We've got one.
You got one more.
transfer.
The federal transfer, federal
It's
prison.
just a
Oh, I'm
correction
sorry.
of accounting
I'm sorry.
and the revenue.
Yeah, I see what it was, yeah. Yeah.
Second one, first.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next will be item number 8, approval of the bills list.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have a couple questions. On page 2, soil conservation, 13,775. What is that?
Um,
That's our quarterly contribution to the soil conservation district.
Okay.
We pay $50,000 a year to that office to supplement.
50,000 a year
That's what we had budgeted.
to soil conservation. Okay, the second question is, on the same page, statutory contribution, 16,000.
What page?
To the PVA.
On the second page, bottom line, statutory contribution.
As to the PVA.
Yeah.
to-
Same thing, it's just the quarterly
It's in there every,
commitment,
And then that's to who? PVA?
PVA.
PVA?
PBA.
Okay. Okay. Just clarification. Okay.
Sure. Any further discussion?
was there a bill that went with that transfer, Daniel?
It's on the supplemental. I was
It's on the
gonna-
supplemental,
I was
okay.
gonna strike
Oh, yeah, I
that.
see it, yeah, I got it. Yeah, next one, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item will be number 9,
Motion to table.
the supplemental bills list.
Yeah, it's just got one bill on it.
Said EMS transfer.
It's
Oh,
at
okay.
EMS because we can't pay
Oh.
it anyway with the transfer.
Yeah.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to table this. Is that what we want to do, table it?
Yeah, we need, table it until we look at that agreement,
Okay,
see if we're right, if we owe it, we owe it.
okay. Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That will be tabled. Then we have three authorized bills. One for February the 13th, February the 15th, and February the 20th. Next item on the agenda will be public comments. And the first will be Crystal with American Red Cross.
I didn't realize that you actually had me on there as line item 13. I'm maybe a little premature. You want me to do it now?
Sure, if you don't mind.
So back around to, I'm Crystal, and I'm with American Red Cross.
Could you
Can
pull that
you
microphone
hear me
towards you?
okay?
There you go, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll step back. And we have been working with Clark County for many years, and honestly, I haven't been in front of the courts since Chris passed away. I haven't been able to do that yet. This is the first time in 4 years I've been able to do this. But usually we'll come, and there's usually about $2,500 that you all disperse. And in the past, we have been a part of that. And so the executive director, Lynn Washbish, asked me to come today on behalf of American Red Cross. I'm a registered volunteer for them, have been for many years. She would like to ask on behalf of the Lexington American Red Cross if you all would be willing to donate the $2,500 this year, or whatever you'd be willing to do. In the past, the biggest campaign we do is the fire alarms, the smoke alarms, putting those in the homes. But last year, we did $8,400 in 14 homes with damage and fire. So that was a little extra that we did, but we always do the fire alarms as well. I just attended this past week, our Lexington Fire Department in the location in Lexington there came together and had like a brunch we did, and had CBL, American Red Cross volunteers, come out and like show some of the things that we can do on a more personal basis to get to know our community. I don't know that we've done that in Winchester, but as a past leadership Winchester, and the fire department is who we worked with when we did ours. I would love to implement something like that and see if we could do that as well. And as someone who worked with the fire department with Susan G. Komen, I used to be the representative for that as well. So I'm very excited about partnering with us continuously, but for this year, that's what we're asking for, is the $2,500, and again, we haven't done that since Chris passed away. That's the last time we'd ask. So if you would at least consider that. I have that same letter I had for you last week and the copy of the smoke alarm paperwork, okay? Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You want to vote on that now? Or, okay. We'll do it on next one. Okay. Next item is Logan Foster.
Good evening. Make sure everybody can hear me. My name's Logan Foster. I live at 3120 Clintonville Road here in Clark County. And I'm here just to speak about the Bluegrass Station Airport project. And just to bring some points that I feel that this would have a very negative impact on Clark County, or at least it should be looked at. This will directly affect my home, my wife's home, her farm that backs right up, because the back of our farm, or her farm, is the meeting point of Fayette, Clark, and Bourbon County. Some of the land, and I hope everyone here is familiar with it, but this is the project where they would take 2,500 to 4,000 acres of land by eminent domain. This would be land in Clark County as well. The proposed railroad line to serve this airport project would go through the middle of my wife's farm. This would come off that railroad line right there on Clintonville Road. The impact of, because this is where they wanted, Lockheed Martin is proposing that they would repair and service C-130 and C-17 military transport planes there. Those military planes do not have to have any sort of, they don't have to meet any noise standards or emission standards, as military planes shouldn't have to meet any of those. Their job is to move big loads off short runways. I was in the military myself. The noise and the lights from this project would be, it would forever change this area. The traffic on Clintonville Road and the other roads getting to Bluegrass Station would be horrendous. The impact on property values, there was a gentleman that spoke at the Bourbon County Fiscal Court meeting last Thursday. He is a real estate appraiser. He said home values in the Squires Point subdivision, which is a little subdivision on the right before Clintonville, have already been impacted at least -9%. Just, you're gonna have to disclose this project if you're selling any real estate. You're gonna have to make people aware of it. I'm not anti-growth or anti-progress. I'm not anti-military. But my point would be, why here? Why does it have to be right here? They're already repairing these military transport planes in South Carolina. I would urge you to speak to several of the ex-magistrates in Bourbon County, like Mark Offit. They're not currently in office, but when this came up in 2017, they went down to South Carolina to see where they're fixing these planes now, and to hear them coming in and landing. And it's like, we don't want this in Bourbon County. So I would urge you to be aware of this. I'm sure you are, but it's not just a Bourbon County issue. It would greatly affect a lot of people in Clark County. I think it would not be a bonus for the county. I mean, I'd rather see a subdivision than see this, because this, I don't see how this is going to increase the quality of life. You know, as far as the jobs, that's the big draw. Lockheed Martin's history, they've not lived up to the jobs that they promised the last go around. They've just laid off third shift over there. I get it, jobs, but I just don't think it'll be there. And I think there'll be a lot of costs for Clark County. Will Mayer has my number. Mr. Craycraft has my number. I'll be glad to get the phone numbers and names of any of the Bourbon County magistrates if y'all would like to follow up with it, talk to them and see what their impressions are. But this is a big deal. You know, evidently everyone says it's you know, not going anywhere. I'm not trusting that. Funding for this project was in the House version of the annual budget, House Bill 6. The Senate has not decided on whether they are going to fund this project. The group that's against it has pushed to have funding for this project removed from the Senate version, and then it would go to a joint committee to be worked there. They could always do an end run with the Department of Military Affairs. I don't think the State Department of Military Affairs would have enough power to do that, but if it's federal, but I would urge you all to become aware if you're not already, and I will be glad to get the names and numbers of any of the Bourbon County magistrates on this. So, that's all I'd like to say. So,
Thank you.
thank you all.
Next item will be department head comments. Janet Townsend.
Hello. So I think I sent all this to you all by email, just what I'm proceeding tonight. But I just wanted to let you know, I met with our insurance broker, health insurance broker, USI, on Thursday. It was a post-renewal meeting, and it's very encouraging. We're doing very well. And they'll be here on the 13th to kind of give you the numbers and kind of show you where we are at this point. So right now, we're in a good spot. But during that meeting, we talked about a couple initiatives to help to continue the savings. And one thing they had brought up, and I think it's a great idea, is our pharmacy manager is Optum, and they want to contract with a third-party vendor, Truveris, who will audit the costs and the claims to make sure we are getting the deepest cuts and savings that we should be getting. They asked me to present it to the court. There's no fee to us. We don't pay anything. It's just a third party that will come in and make sure we're getting what they agreed that we would get. So they're just asking me if we could sign that, or if the judge could sign it and agree to it, and
There's no cost to us.
no cost to us.
Well, how do they
The-
exist if they
The
don't show?
Optum is paying all the fees to the third party.
Okay.
So it's just something that they agreed, USI had like a nationwide objective to get their pharmacy managers, all of them, in a system that would require them to be audited, to support.
The way I interpret it is Optum is basically paying a
Optum.
third party.
Optum's doing the paying.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
the third party to administrate it
Right.
because
Right.
they can't
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
administrate it properly. Well, I wouldn't say properly, but cost
Yeah.
efficient.
that's right.
They just need our approval
They
to
need to
go
sign
over
us
the
a client
records.
service agreement that says, because it's private, it's our information, so we have to allow them to do that. Right, so,
Motion to approve.
Second.
okay.
Motion, Magistrate Constantopoulos, second by Magistrate Pansley. Any further questions or comments?
Which motion would be to?
Motion to authorize the judge executive to sign all necessary documents.
With, you want,
With Optum.
Well, yes, Optum RX.
Gotcha.
And the name of the vendor is Truveris.
True what?
Truveris. Truveris.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet.
No, thank you.
And second, right?
Yes.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next item will be Chief Asbury.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to seek permission from the fiscal court to apply for a federal grant. It's the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. It's a 95-5 split, 95% being funded by the federal government, 5% by the county. So in essence, we're asking for $1.8 million for the replacement of our aerial apparatus, and our cost share would be $90,000 of that 1.8. So
I'm sorry, what would ours be?
90,000 of the 1.8 million.
What's the time frame on the grant?
The time frame we would need to budget for it in the next budget. It would not be out until September, so the awards don't come out until September of this year. So it wouldn't fall within our current budget
Very next
cycle. It'd
fiscal
be
year.
in the next fiscal year, yes, sir.
And when would we have to pay the 90,000?
When the truck is delivered.
Which
So
would
that
be
would be
till-
3 years from now, but I would just feel better if we go ahead and start budgeting for it now. That way, if we are awarded, if we are awarded and choose not to accept the award, then we wouldn't be eligible for a grant for the next 5 years.
You're thinking it would take about 3 years for delivery.
Correct. We've checked on trucks that an aerial apparatus is somewhere between 2.5 and 3 years delivery time.
Is that a ladder truck?
When did we last get an aerial truck?
We bought it in 2020. And it's a used.
A
one.
very used.
It's a very used one.
Like
It's an-
Whitesburg, wasn't it, or Letcher County?
Yes, sir. It come out of Jenkins, Kentucky.
Jenkins,
We purchased it for $5,000.
Yeah, I remember that.
And wasn't the reason?
It's a 1986 model.
86 miles.
Wasn't that the
Isn't
reason we
it something like
purchased
a
it?
75-foot? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Isn't it like a 75-foot?
It is a 50-foot aerial apparatus.
Oh, the one you're looking at or the one we have?
The one we have is a 50.
The
Yeah.
one you're looking at is a.
Would it be a 75? Yes, sir.
And was I underneath the impression that we bought this one for 5,000 because we had to have one in order to apply for the grant?
That is correct.
Okay, so-
Well, we actually wanted an apparatus, but we knew we didn't have the money at the time. So Judge Pace and I found this one for 5,000. We've put roughly about 10,000 into it. It became operational. But since then, it's starting to become, it's cost money. We probably put about 25,000 into the apparatus. It's just no longer economically sound to keep pouring the money into a 1986 model. We've had it on several structure fires, particular barn fires is where it's good at because it has a master stream aerial device, so we can get above barns and spray down on it and put them out rather quickly. So that's why we have that
Am I
apparatus.
correct that the city just bought 100-foot for $2 million?
It's a little bit more than that, yes,
It
sir.
was more than $2 million?
Yeah, it's more
And
than
it's a
2 million.
100-foot ladder?
Yes, sir. So, they also bought a tanker truck for $1.3 million.
But I think so, I think the new guys, when we originally purchased that, your whole plan was explain to them because the open cab and so
Correct.
forth, there's a special grant. And that was one of the selling points of it is if we got that then, that we could apply for this grant because they're wanting to get those off the roadways.
Right. So the truck that we currently have it's a closed cab, but it also has an open cab where firefighters could sit. And it's not so much a special grant. They are focusing on replacing those types of apparatus that are out there because of safety issues. So they want to get those trucks off the road. So it kind of killed two birds with one stone. We needed an aerial apparatus to do some of the operations that we wanted. Plus, it was also something that we could apply for a grant for and have the likelihood of getting it replaced. So that's why we purchased that
When's the grant
apparatus.
due?
I'm sorry.
When is the grant due?
Grant is due March 8th, March the 8th, sir. It's being wrote now. I just needed the needed the fiscal court's approval to submit the grant.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, second that.
We have a motion, Magistrate Councilman Toplis, and who was the second?
Miller.
Magistrate Miller.
My whole thought is, I know we've got a lot to talk about money, but, I mean, ultimately, we're just applying for it, and we still have
Correct.
we still have the.
We are
right
not
to
spending
turn
the
it-
money
turn it
unless
down.
we are awarded the grant.
2 or
So,
3 years off from having to pay for it.
yes,
So,
sir.
Yeah.
So, for a $1.8
If we're
million
awarded.
investment,
If we get it.
$90,000 is pretty good.
But if we are awarded, we have to take it,
No,
or,
don't have to take
I'm
it.
sorry.
or if we don't take it, then we have to wait another 5 years to apply.
Correct.
That's correct.
You're barred from continuing. If you're awarded and you choose not to, you don't have to give them the 90,000, but you can no longer put in for any of those grants.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item was 13, but I think we did that in public comments with American Red Cross presentation. Next item will be discussion on the Muddy Creek Pump Station rehab.
Judge, I make a motion that we assist the East Clark County Water District in paying for their Muddy Creek Pump Station rehabilitation for $258,000 out of our remaining ARPA funds.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Judge, I would suggest that before we proceed, we have our consultant look at this to make sure this is an eligible expenditure, and the procurement guidelines, the federal procurement guidelines have been followed.
To make sure it is
Which is with Compass, right?
that we can spend the ARPA
But that
money.
we can, and the procurement, mainly the procurement guidelines have been, because the federal guidelines for that procurement through ARPA is very much different than the other procurement guidelines.
My understanding is if we take the lost revenue, you don't have to do the
I
procurement.
think you still have to, if you're doing something like this, I think you still have to go through that proper procurement.
Make sure I understand the way I interpret you. You're just wanting to say that it's allocated. We're not moving anything right now, we're just saying that it's allocated for those funds, just like the
Right.
splash pad, just like the broadband, just like the, what else do we have out there that's allocated? The roads. So we're just allocating it, and then we'll have to work everything through Compass to make sure it meets everything.
It'd still go to them.
Yeah.
So
Go through Compass.
You're just saying you want R.J. Palmer, I can't remember.
Compass.
Compass. You want them to review this before.
Yeah.
He's just allocating the money for it for them to review.
I mean, that's what we're paying them for.
Water and sewer were the two things initially that you could use it for, if you didn't need it for your budgetary needs during the crisis.
And that most likely hasn't changed.
No, they've only supplemented and added to that.
Added to it.
Can William explain the project to us? I'd like to know more about the project.
I guess there's some of you that probably don't know me. I'm William Ballard. I'm the general manager of the Water District, and been there a number of years. This project was planned years ago when Ernest was still on the Water District. It was before COVID, all that stuff. So it was originally budgeted at $350,000, and we got some money to do that. Of course, as COVID come along and prices have skyrocketed like they have, and we took the bids on this job in September of last year. The price for the pump station and putting these leak detect meters in come in at $536,000. So you can see it's way over what we had budgeted, and we've got another project in the pipeline, you might so to speak, that to replace some lines like on Kentucky 89 and on Mount Sterling Road, like where we got some, like I'd say, pressure problems and some leakage problems because of rock. So this project was to go into Muddy Creek Pump Station, which was originally built in 1987. Is when it was originally built. It was rehabbed in 2003. We went in then at that time. When it was originally designed, it had single-phase motors for the pumps and everything, which tended to burn out pretty quickly. Like about every 6 months, you had to change the motors on them. So in 2003, we went in and put VFDs in, which takes the single-phase power, converts it to three-phase power for the pumps. So what we're wanting to do, because it's been 20 years, and we work on the assumption that at 20 years, electrical stuff, you're starting to get you're on the final stages of when it's going to wear out on you, start causing you problems. So we're trying to be proactive to go in and replace this pump station. We've got this station. We've got 2 more pump stations that are in line, not in the next couple of years, but in about 10 years to go in and replace them. So that's essentially what this project is to.
Question, and
Sure.
Magistrate Pasley brought this up some time ago. There was apparently some report about leakage and loss, and we've never really had anybody explain to us that, I mean, if we're pumping water but we're losing water, are we accomplishing anything if those leaks haven't been resolved to the resolve of whoever you brought up that time, Magistrate Pasley?
Well, what he talked about, and if you don't care, I'll speak to that. When he was talking about, he said we were at 17% or 18%.
At one time, it had got pretty high.
We've actually bought some leak loggers that we used quite extensively last year, and we got back at the end of 2013, or end of 2023, we are down to 13.48%. Now, under Public Service Commission rules, what they want you to be is at 15% or below. So we're reaching that amount. Of course, we're still wanting to do more.
What does that equate to, gallon wise?
Gallon wise, so in 2023, it equated to 19 million gallon
So you lost 19 million gallons of water
over the whole year, yeah.
over the year.
Out of 146 million.
Wouldn't it be better to fix those leaks as opposed to
But
fixing this?
that's what we're trying to do. I mean, I don't know if I'm sure you're aware of how large our system is.
Oh, I know, I'm very well.
It covers quite a bit of that. When you're looking at that 13%, that is equal to about, at that time, we're down to about we're right at 35 gallon a minute over the whole system. But that 35 gallon a minute might be 3 gallon on Parish Road, 5 gallon on Mount Sterling Road. Those are really hard to find. You can drive out there right now, with all the rain we've had, you're not gonna find a leak. I don't care what you do, hardly.
The national average, I think, is about 15 and a half.
Well, it may be even higher than that, and as far as in Kentucky, the systems that are under Public Service Commission, you get into eastern Kentucky, which we're not really eastern Kentucky, but we're on the edge. There's a lot of systems that are losing 40 and 50% of their water.
I'm aware of that.
That's not necessarily our problem. We're trying to do better than that. But we still got to be able to rehab this pump station to get the water. We're still looking for these leaks. I mean, that's an everyday thing that we're going out. I mean, we haven't put the loggers out in the last month just because the weather is just not conducive to do that. But we run these loggers almost every other day last year looking for water. We've got some areas that, we've gone in there and put leak detect meters in different parts of the system, which is what you're doing, you're what you call district metering, to make it into smaller areas so that you can see how much water is going into, say, like the Parish Road area. We've got that divided into a section. We can see how much water is running into there at night. I can tell you right now, overnight it's averaging about 6 gallon a minute. Well, that's everything on Parish Road, Pretty Run, Gay Evans, and Ways Mill. So that's a pretty large area. To be losing 6 gallon a minute on, it's just tough to find it. But we're gonna keep plugging along. We go to the meter boxes, looking in the meter boxes, but water don't always come to the top of the ground too. A lot of times it goes down into, there's cracks in the rock and stuff like that. A lot of it goes down. So that's what we're trying to do, is find all that too. So.
This project would add some zone metering as well that would help assist in that.
Will this increase the pressure for your customers or just maintain the pressure?
It's going to increase what the section, well, no, we're going to be able to eventually increase pressure on the Kentucky 89 section, because the second project we're doing is to go in there. That pipe is rated at 160. We want to be able to get it to 250 so we can increase that pressure a little bit more over there, pump into the tank on 15. That's what, out of this pump station. Right now, that's all we can do, but what the next part of the project is to do. So you got to put everything in line to do it, so you got to have something set up. But our time is on this pump station. We're not having any problems with it now, but we don't want to wait till it's got problems on it. So that's why that's why this project was set up. Ernest has seen that list before. I mean, we've got this project, we've got a list of projects to repaint tanks, to put in lines, do these, replace meters, all that stuff we're doing.
And I understand it sounds like from what I've been told by Karen Leverins at Bluegrass Ad, that it's probably going to be another round of cleaner water coming everybody's way, we hope, in the next year or so.
That's what we've heard.
So
there's nothing, how that goes, legislature can do what they wish, but I really think it's going to come about.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen too.
Mr. Ballard, quick question. You mentioned there, you got this project, and then you said you got another one that's in the pipeline.
Yes.
What does that project entail?
That's the one that's replacing some lines on Mount Sterling Road, where we've got some problem areas. It's in rock, mostly out in the Winetown area, if you know where that is. It's right in that area. There's about a 2-mile section that, when that line was put in 1991, that's when rock trenchers first come out. Well, I guess, they thought they were doing really well with some of that rock that went back in and ground up, but it had little points on it. Some of those points got into where that pipe is continuously moving when you got water pressure on and people are using water, that pipe is continuously moving. Your line to your house, as you pull water, it makes that line vibrate, so it wears through that rock. So we're gonna go back and replace all that pipe, embed it in a different material to help it, so it'll, not do this again. That's what we've had, that little section there, we've had about 10 leaks in that one section in the last probably 8 years that are, they happen in the middle of the night, and when they do, they'll go 200-300 gallon a minute when they do it. So, unless somebody calls, you don't always get those right away, and then even getting out to turn it off, you lose water for a couple of hours, so.
What's the price tag on that? Do you know, that project?
On that project, I think it's $1.7 million. And we've got Cleaner Water 2 money of $748,000 on that so far, but it's gonna leave about $1 million. Now, that being said, when you go, that's what the engineer's estimate, you go out to bid, I don't know what, and we're still looking, it's gonna probably be, we're in design on that project right now, designing the project. We're hoping to get the easements this year, so that we can go out next year on bids. This is part of that ARPA money, or what, the COVID money. So we have to expend that money by December 31st of 2026, which would be the same as
The 700.
as all that, yeah.
And then so you'd have roughly about $1 million that you have to come up with on that project, and.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be more, well, let me rephrase
Yeah.
that. It would be more than the $1 million if you had to, because of the cost increase of this one on top
Yeah,
of it,
that's right.
correct? And that would that keep you from doing that other project if on this one?
It won't keep it, we may just have to borrow more money at that time, where we come up, that we've got, of course, we've got some money set, you're always setting aside money in depreciation, and we're doing that. And we put money in to see.
But you have to have operating too.
That's right.
For
We're
emergencies.
always operating, we're always, as part of that loss, we've been actually going, we always go through meters and test them. We test them, they're on a 10-year cycle. We're pulling some now that are right at 10 years. They're really testing pretty decent, but what happens on meters is you lose on the low flow. So that's it. Now, we're actually going to a meter that's an ultrasonic meter, which is supposed to pick up more of that low flow. And we're trying to get those out into the system. We're replacing 10 or 12 a month on average right now, because of, others that are aging out that are they're stopping. We don't have a lot. We may lose 7 or 8 meters a month as far as, they'll just die. They got batteries in them for they can record the flow through them for 96 days. So we use that to help people. If they call and they got a problem on their meter, we can tell how much it's been flowing. I can tell you on our meters, I can tell you if the leak started at 5 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you, and I can tell you if it stopped when somebody turned it off too. So that's all.
I just want to say, Winetown's my childhood home community, and I know there's a lot of surface rock out there.
It is.
And then you've
Yeah,
got
I
a
think it's
real
right beside
challenge
maybe
out
some of
there.
your families, the big White House out
Yes,
there.
yeah.
That's where some of the worst rock is. It's right there.
Yeah, I know. We used to try to do fencing out there, and that was a challenge.
Oh, yeah, the soil's about that deep.
Yeah, exactly.
So if the court don't fund this, will your customers pay the difference, or how would you fund it otherwise?
Well, on this one, we probably have got enough money we could do it, but that's just gonna relate over to the next project. We won't have any other setback
Won't be able to complete it.
to help on. We're gonna have to borrow money, and that's gonna be an increase in rates.
And that comes through, anything you all borrow comes through the fiscal court, because remember when we first came on?
Well,
we had
No.
several of those.
No, we go,
Uh-uh.
we're under Public Service Commission. We're set up different.
We don't control their rates or anything.
I
No,
didn't say we controlled the rates, I'm saying, but we had loans when we first came on the court.
We did have a loan.
Oh,
We
we
did have
We
a
had
loan.
loans for
we
East
had
Clark
some
Water,
that were
yeah.
through.
Counts
that were
against
through
our
CAPO.
total
Yeah.
debt.
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're
We didn't have to take them out, but we had to.
Yes,
Those were through CAPO, those loans
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah.
about. They're all paid.
Yeah, they're paid off now,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying that it still will come back through.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you have to borrow, it still comes through here as well.
Maybe, I guess. I'm not sure if that will.
One thing
That's
that we
what it
need to,
was.
Okay, yeah.
one thing we need to keep in mind that is near and dear to my heart on this is when we're talking about affordable housing, that's been a word that, has been forefront recently. When I was on the board for those 3 years, on average, we did 85 additional water meters. Now, we're talking about District 2, District 3, and we touched District 4, 85 water meters a year. Now, sometimes those might be a cattle water or something, but the bulk of those are new homes. Well, where do we have 85 homes a year going up in Clark County? This is our development. This is our growth. And we have to invest in that water so that the people in that area can continue to build affordable housing. I think it's, key to the county and the growth within it.
And it's gonna increase the pressure, which is obviously gonna help.
Just, if we're not gonna be, with this pump
Not
station-
this one, but the second project helps
Yeah,
increase the
it's gonna help
pressure.
increase the pressure on that one line. Yes. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, William.
Thank you, Will.
Appreciate it. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Any further discussion?
Judge, again, whenever we talk about ARPA money, I would refer to Compass to guide us and direct us. And, years ago, when we first got ARPA money, I tried to get this court to sit down and come up with a list of projects and priorities and have a long-term plan to how we're going to spend that money, because we're never going to get it again. And, I'm still reluctant to go in and piecemeal our spending of that ARPA money, because we never did really plan for a long-range expenditure and growth of the community. And, I think Mr. Ballard said they could afford to do this one and maybe come back for the next project. I would rather see us address the next project, let him spend his money on this one, so we can have a little bit more time to seems like we always get these at the last minute. Well, I'm gonna go ask them for money, maybe I'll get it. And it's not new to them, it's new to us. I'd like to see us spend a little bit more time before we go ahead and spend another $250,000.
Any further discussion? In a case like this, I guess the question I have, are we assuming that we can use the ARPA money for this?
Well, again, I'm not so concerned about if it's a proper use. I just want to make sure that we've gone through the proper procurement process.
For me, I'm making my decision based on is that we're allocating it just like we allocated it for the splash pad, just like we allocated it for the internet, just like we allocated it for the,
Well, if this is an expenditure, because May the 23rd of '24, it's an expenditure.
is your motion to allocate the money? mean,
I will
because-
amend my motion upon the approval of Compass.
To get the money to where it needs to go.
Yes.
Their process.
It doesn't change my mind any. I still think we need a long-range plan of how we're gonna spend the remaining money, because we're never gonna have the opportunity to have it again. And I think people just say, well, that's an opportunity to go get some cash.
I think
Not that it's not needed,
I
it'll
think
help, but I just don't like the process.
I think long-range planning is hard to do. We just don't know what we don't know we're gonna need.
I mean, we've,
How more long range do you get than water and sewer?
I'm talking about our ARPA money, not of water and sewer. I'm talking about our ARPA.
And that's what, that's what the Treasury came out and said that money was to be used for if you didn't ultimately use it in your deficiency of cash during the crisis.
Could have come in 2 years ago and asked for it, as opposed to 90 days away.
well, I think the situation is that they received funding for the project, but the problem is that due to the inflation and everything, that now it's put it way over and beyond the money that they received. And, you
He
know,
said they could afford
ultimately,
to pay for it.
the long-range plan is that, I think we've all said this from the very beginning, is that we didn't want to spend, you know, the ARPA money willy-nilly on different projects that wouldn't have a return. Our main focus was infrastructure. I mean, if you remember, we put $3 million over to the sanitation district to carry out that plan for the future plan of growth. I mean, I think this is another step in that, and I agree with Magistrate Pasley. I mean, there's nothing more long-term than infrastructure. I mean, they're dealing with pipes that are over, you know, 45 years old. And, you know, this is a project that even ARPA funded it itself. And if it wasn't for them coming out and amending it, we would have no option but to either use this on sanitary sewer and water. I mean, because that was really the bulk of what you could use it for. So, you know, when we initially approved the splash pad, which Magistrate Blanton brought up. We couldn't have done the splash pad because it didn't fall within the guidelines of that until they did the lost revenue aspect of it. And basically, when they did the lost revenue of it, is that you can absorb it into your budget. And the reason that we never did that is I fought against it, was if we move that all into our budget, then it'll get absorbed up. And then just like the last budget meeting we had, originally the budget presented, we were going to use about $3.5 million of that ARPA funds to balance our budget. And then we trimmed, tried to trim all that out of there so we wouldn't use our ARPA funds. So, I mean, I think this is a worldwide project. I think it'll go, it'll have impact for years and years to come. And you mentioned growth going on out in that community. We've got to have the infrastructure to be able to do that. I'll support, allocating it, and then it's up to, Compass to see where they're at, making that happen.
A question for William. William, you mentioned that you had a bid, and then that was pre-COVID, then it went,
We didn't have a bid before COVID.
okay.
What happens is the engineer's estimate.
Oh, an estimate, okay. And then afterwards, it was much more because of the,
The time we got to where we could actually bid it was
yeah.
last year.
When, last year was the bid?
We did it in September. We bid it in
September last year. Okay, thank you.
And
I
Mr.
think there's a copy in the package you all got.
Yeah.
So the increase
I see it.
breakdown.
Yeah, I see it.
And I just want to commend you on the work that y'all have done. I mean, the numbers of the lost water has come down tremendously based on your numbers. So, I mean, you all are trending in the right direction below the average, so appreciate your all's hard work on all that.
So what's before you is to vote to allocate the $258,000 of ARPA money for the Muddy Creek Pump Station rehab pending Compass approval.
Or we're allocating it, and then they'll tell us how to move it.
Okay.
If it's
Okay.
improper, they're gonna tell us it's improper,
Okay.
but I don't think they're gonna tell us.
Any
that.
further discussion?
No, I'm just gonna vote no because of the process that we're going through, ARPA money, and I've thought all along we need to do a better job of what we're doing. I'm not against the project at all, but just against the process that we're going through, not what East Clark Water's going through.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carried. Next item is item number 15, just for information only. You have it in your packet. Just some information on the kind of goals and objectives of a pedestrian advisory meeting or agenda. Next item, number 16, will be the note in the minutes. And since there's quite a few of them, if it meets the court's approval, I'll just, you have them in front of you. We'll just present them all to you at one time here. Next item is number 17, a resolution for the Clark County Clerk House Bill 1 election equipment grant motion or grant.
This is just a
Do you want
grant,
me
right?
to explain on this?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So, you all chose to buy new machines a couple years ago when we bought them. And so this grant came out, and I did not realize that we could go back and maybe get some of this money back. So our machines, this grant is for $185,000. We spent $169,000, I think. So I'm asking for that money back. The problem is my deadline is today. So I'm gonna, if you all approve this, then I'm gonna get right over there as soon as the court's over, and I'm faxing that tonight to them.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
Okay.
There you go.
Hold on a second. Yeah. The State Board of Elections said that, first we thought we was going to call a special call meeting, but they allowed us to wait till today, but they have to have this by tomorrow.
Do we need to recess for 5 minutes for you to go fast?
No, I mean, they're already closed, but I wanna make sure I get that to them tonight, just so I can call first thing in the morning and say, did you get it?
Okay.
So who is my motions?
Take your pick, me or Daniel, either one.
All of us.
Okay.
Yeah, group motion.
I'll do Daniel and Blanton. So there's 185, there's a chance that we could get some more back, but our machines were 169, so I'm hoping that we can at least get that money back.
Interest.
so. Well, I didn't realize that they could like retro it back and, you know, I thought since we bought it, and they actually called me and said, hey, do you not want the money? And I immediately said, wait, stop right there. You know,
They did pay for part of those though, didn't they?
They did, so we can't use that money.
Can't-
what
but we can-
what
okay.
you all spent out was $169,
yeah.
and so I've got
Yeah,
my
okay.
invoice there. I've got everything they've asked. Fran has, helped me
Okay.
a whole bunch with that, with what they need. But this resolution is the only thing stopping me from
Okay.
sending it in.
Good to go.
Is the amount, is it okay that the up to, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Next.
It was in mine too. It's, we already did the second reading on that
Okay,
last.
so for the sheriff's. I was asking if y'all didn't vote on
I
that.
looked at that wrong then.
I did too then, Daniel. I thought we'd
I thought
already.
it was the budget amendment that we had already approved. But I see Wanda here for something.
There you go, and that's why I said that, because I saw it approved by the fiscal court, so I want to make sure.
So it probably shouldn't have been a note in the minutes. It should have been,
Right.
it should have been an item to take an action on. So let's remove that from the note in the minutes and consider that as a item for 17B.
Good call, Michelle. No.
Thank you.
Yeah, item number 16C.
Whoop.
Right?
I don't even know where my copy's at. It's disappeared.
It's in the packet there.
Well, I know, but I can't locate it. Cause like I looked at it, Robert, when I glanced at it, I thought it was just put in there by mistake over the,
Yeah.
I can't find mine. Does anybody have their copy? Here it is.
No, this isn't different. That's, you're gonna present that.
Are you just presenting it while you're doing?
Our settlement has excess fees check.
Oh, gotcha.
Do we need a note in that?
Yes, how much is that check for?
59 something.
259 what?
Get Richard again.
So you don't need any action or anything, you're just presenting the check for the settlement?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
So the sheriff is presenting.
From the horse's mouth. We're good to go.
We'll go ahead and do this then. The sheriff presenting a check for excess fees in the amount of $59,240.73.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Also, the money that you all appropriated for this year were 31,000 under that amount, so we've still got that.
Excellent. Y'all do a great job. Thank you all.
Appreciate that.
So now,
I thought we were gonna give money away. I didn't realize we were getting money back here.
so now we'll go to 16C. And do we have a motion on that yet?
Said we didn't need one. Said we didn't need one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ignore that conversation.
So we'll do a note in a minute on that. Okay. Okay. All right. So, next item is magistrate comments.
I just have one thing. To Mr. Foster's comments about the Bourbon County Airport extension thing, or airport project, Magistrate Miller and I went to the town hall meeting they had there in Bourbon County, and I just wanted to say that it seems that what has happened there in Bourbon County is that people in Bourbon County use their First Amendment rights and spoke out, and due to the majority or the number of people who spoke out against us, regardless of how you feel about it, I'm not commenting one way or the other, but I am saying that at that meeting at the horse barn they had there in Bourbon County, right near Clintonville, they were expecting 100 people, and they probably had over 400, I would say. And initially, the magistrate there in Clintonville, he's always been against the project. I don't know about the other magistrates in Bourbon County, but the county judge there in Bourbon County, Mike Williams, I think it is, he was in favor of the project. I just wanted to say that I'm encouraged by the fact that people use their First Amendment rights to speak out. The local government at least listened, and when they had their fiscal court meeting last week, I think it was unanimous on the fiscal court to vote it down. The judge flipped on his vote, and then the governor, he came out with a statement saying that he's been against it all along if they didn't have the public support, and whether or not, we have no way of knowing if that's the case or not. But anyway, I just want to say that's government as it should be. Local government officials listened, and they voted the way that they wanted them to do that. Of course, I know now it's probably in the hands of the state Senate, but I just want to say that I was encouraged by the way that went, regardless of how you feel. The numbers on the employment on that thing, I first heard 1,000 to 2,000, I heard 2,000 to 3,000, and I read yesterday 3,000 to 6,000, and who knows, Lockheed inflates these things. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I was encouraged by local government listening to their constituents and voting the way that they wanted to. So that's all I have on that.
Patrick?
The only thing I have is I stopped by the new fire station, and I just want to mention that the guys, what a commendable job you guys have done getting moved in there, getting our equipment from the different places, and now used to, I know, heard you guys discuss you'd have to go to the EOC building to get the boat if you had a water emergency, and being able to put all that stuff in one place. The guys seem like they're in a good place about it all, and just want to commend you guys for what you've done there.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything specifically, but I did want to add to what Magistrate Craycraft was mentioning. That was basically when they were talking about the amount of land that was going to be needed for this airport. And if you've ever been to Toyota in Georgetown, it was going to be 3 times that amount that would be consumed in Bourbon County for that runway of just a cement block. So, but it was quite a bit of space. And it was a good perspective to hear that when you heard that, it kind of gave you a good visual on that. And I can see why a lot of the people in there were upset with that, especially taking over family land and these kind of things for a lot of years, and noise ordinances and these kind of things. But I just wanted to add that to him, that it was a good showing and it was very well presented.
Just a couple of things. I was able to also be out at the fire station last week and for a fire committee meeting. It was my first time out at the new Tierney Road station that we've established now, and I think they've done a really good job. The chiefs and his team are doing they've really got it. Obviously, they're already there. They've already done Chief, probably 100+ runs since we've had that station, and the truck, rolling out, not really had any problems. So I think that I think we made a good call there with supporting his selection of that site and his legwork, and I want to just compliment that. I think we've obviously, as we know, we've got an option on that property, and I think it's maybe something we can discuss at some point. But how the court wants to move on that, but, I also mentioned the fact that my understanding is the CSET program is, I guess, drawing to a close, and I think that ends when, Chief, December of this year?
December of this year, the tree will be done.
So, my understanding is, I've not looked at the paperwork on that original, but my understanding is we'll get, I guess you could say, unencumbered use of that building.
It'll go on a little bit past
Yeah,
that.
into 25, yeah. So, we discussed some ideas for that, and we can, of course, get into that in the months to come as well. But I think we have some good opportunity. It's a really nice facility, as you all know. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know I appreciate Mr. Ballard being here and presenting to us about this. I think that's a really great infrastructure plan, and I know they've got obviously other projects to do, like all the local agencies do. And I just want to mention that one thing we probably have not done as aggressively as we should have as a county, and I'd encourage East Clark Water to do this as well, is, prior to every budget legislative session, which we know is every other year, legislature's in the midst of a budget session. But prior to that, I encourage all these agencies, East Clark Water, everybody, if you've got a wish list, if you've got priorities, capital projects, submit them to our legislators, our state representative, state senator. And, we've started doing that more now, and of course, the legislature has more money to spend. I mean, we hear about these surpluses for the last 2 or 3, 4 years. They expanded the sales tax, although they're cutting the income tax, they're expanding the sales tax and other fees. So there's a lot of money sloshing around the Capitol. So, if it's there, we're as worthy for it as any other community and can certainly make our case. So I just would encourage, William, you and your board to think about that. And I'm glad to hear that because our legislators have been very responsive to us, and they do their best to try to get as much as they can for Clark County, especially in terms of infrastructure and so forth, public safety. So I think it's just something to bear in mind the next couple of years. So, but that's all I had.
Seemed like we've talked an awful lot about the fire department tonight, from a new truck to the new station and different things. And back in August, we talked about that as well. And at that time, some of the members said they had questions about the Greater Clark's, questions before they wanted to consider the Greater Clark's proposal to study our fire department situation. Now, to me, it just seems like we're still duplicating services over and over and over again. And apparently those questions have not been answered. At least I've not heard anybody say that they've had their questions answered. So, Judge, if I would ask you to, at the next meeting, if you could put that topic on the agenda and have those magistrates who had those questions bring them forward so we can discuss them, so that we can at least look at if we're duplicating services, if we need to do something to answer these questions, if we need to proceed or not proceed, because I think we're really missing an opportunity here. $1 million for a fire truck here and $1 billion for a fire truck there and $800,000 for another building here. To me, that just seems, without studying the fire department situation, that's just a gross neglect of our duties, and I think we need to do that. So I would be willing to help those who had questions, help them get those answered, so that we can bring that up again. And if you would put that on the next agenda, I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay. So, last meeting, we were to try to answer three main questions. And trying to project the budget between now and the end of June. And are we going to be over? Are we going to be short? If we are short, where are we going to get the money from? That was basically three questions. So the last 2 weeks, there's been a lot of number crunching. And I would just like to think I've been really impressed with the staff department heads, everybody has really jumped in on this and tried to do their best, because we wanted to have as accurate a numbers as possible. Now, I realize that you just received this yesterday. That's not much of a heads up. So, one comment that was just made a few minutes ago about CSEP, I have been asked by the Kentucky Emergency Management to have a special meeting before the court so they could explain to everybody exactly what's going to happen and the way that CSEP is going to close out, go away, and explain all the obligations. Now, and I'll lead back into that in just a minute. So, back on this budget, what we've done, we've actually tried to get as accurate a numbers as we possibly could. And I think the numbers are close, but you gotta, I mean, basically, we're doing the budget right now, and this is it's a very volatile thing, because some of the numbers we don't know exactly. There is a lot of some estimating. So, and there are some blanks in here. We don't have all the holes filled, but I think we're very, very close to having accurate numbers. So what I would like to do is, let's go ahead and call a special meeting next week, and we'll do the first part of that on the CSEP. And then the second part will just be on this budget worksheet only. So that gives everybody time to analyze it, study it, so that we can come up with something, because right now, you know, if you go to the last page, it really doesn't look that good, but I would like to get the court to help us just fine-tune everything to be as realistic as possible, because if this is true and we do end up, you know, end of June very short on money, then that next big question is, where are we going to get the money from? And then the third part of that question is, let's say we do have enough money to get to the end of June, then we've got to get from the 1st of July to about the middle of October before money starts coming in. So that's what I'd like to do with this, get everybody, because, you know, this is our budget here, and, you know, we've got to, if there's going to be a financial shortfall, we can't wait until the end of June to do something. We've got to do it now. Any thoughts?
Where are we looking? I mean, what's everybody's schedule? Friday morning?
Yeah, Friday would be the only day I can do it.
I can do Friday.
Friday morning?
I can do Friday.
This will be Friday the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
You do Friday morning?
I can do morning.
Yeah.
Do 8 o'clock? Is early better for everybody?
What time?
8 o'clock?
You said 8 o'clock?
Does that work for y'all?
I'm gonna look at my schedule. I'm just flying by my, by blindness right now until I look at my schedule. At 8 o'clock on that.
You're off that day. No,
I am, but
you
I could
may
be,
go somewhere.
I
but
could be
you're-
traveling, yeah, that's what I was concerned about, but we'll make it work. I don't think so, but we'll just see.
Okay, it's good with me.
So-
Friday, 8 o'clock?
And are you okay with us going ahead and trying to get CSEP on there too? They want to hurry up. And
Sure. Might as well.
I'm thinking they may need 30, 40 minutes, depending on the questions.
Legislator, do you have conflict or?
Friday morning, I mean, that should work at 8.
What's the date, March what?
8.
March 8, at 8?
And then you're talking about, and then also the second part of the meeting, discuss this. Well, and I'm fine with that, Judge. My only request of you is if we're gonna be talking about this, and I appreciate you compiling this, and I got the email from you, I guess yesterday, but, I appreciate that. I think it's a good idea, but, I mean, obviously, as CEO of the county, I mean, you're gonna be implementing, whether it's payroll reduction or attrition or cost cutting or whatever. So, I mean, I hope that you'll have some recommendations or ideas, and, I mean, sir, we can all offer those too, but you're the one here every day, so.
Yeah, because right now,
You want to hear some resolution?
Yeah, I mean, just some direction. I mean, we can beat around the bush and talk about it and throw out ideas,
Well,
but
but,
you're
I
the
mean-
guy that's gonna be implementing it, so.
well, I mean, we can implement as far as, the day-to-day operation, but my understanding, this budget it concerns all of us. But, all the spending gets approved by the fiscal court, so we've got to come up with some solid numbers, because like I said, right now, the numbers don't look good. So, that's what we need to.
At 8 o'clock. Okay.
But, I mean, you can make a recommendation to the court on what you want to see changed.
Right.
So if you think that if you've got a suggestion in regards to what you want to do, whether that, like Magistrate Davis said, a list of things that here we need to implement this, and this to get to where we're at, then bring that list to us.
Going out there.
I mean, ultimately, that's what you have to do. I mean, you gotta present to us what changes you want, and then we discuss those changes. And then if there's any other suggestions that we can add in.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, the next regular meeting will be March the 13th at 8:30, but we will call a special meeting on March the 8th, Friday, March the 8th at 8 o'clock in the morning.
And Judge, I think it'd be appropriate to just email us the agendas. Don't send the sheriffs out for that special agenda.
And hopefully by then too, we'll have we'll fine tune this more, we'll have some, of course, real numbers for the month of February, because this doesn't include the bills list for tonight. So,
But I do ask that any,
well,
potential ask or recommendations that you submit that to us ahead,
Right.
through email, so that way we can know what we're gonna be discussing, to have any questions or concerns or whatever it may be.
next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Motion adjourned is second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. 6:47.